It's 6 p.m, so I'll declare the Ordinary Council meeting for the 24th of the 2nd, 2026 open. We note there's only one screen working. I think we've got a technical issue. We've had some work done in the roof in the last couple of days, so apologies to members of the public, but we only have one screen and we can't rectify that tonight. I'll begin with the prayer and acknowledgement of traditional owners. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the peace and beauty of this area. Direct and prosper the deliberations of this council for the advancement of the city and the welfare of its people. Amen. We'd also like to acknowledge the Noongar people who are the traditional custodians of the land. We'd also like to pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. Mr. CEO, are there record of apologies and leave of absence?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everybody. We have all elected members in attendance tonight, so a full house of 9. Would you like me to go to disclosures of interest?
Yes, please.
Thank you. So we have no disclosures for this evening's meeting. I will just ask everyone that's in attendance, elected members and staff, if anyone would like to make a disclosure.
Councillor McLaren.
Yes, thank you. I do have an impartiality in relation to the Yucca Forest motion, which is that I signed a petition before I joined the council. So that doesn't preclude me from talking about it, but there was, there is something on the record where I did advocate to keep this as a park.
If you'd like to complete the paperwork during the meeting and submit it, please. Thank you.
So, Mr. Mayor, we'll record that under item 4 under disclosures, and thank you, Councillor McLaren, if you could complete the paperwork. Thank you.
So that's for AEM 001. Is that right? Yep. Thank you. Councillor McKinley would like to address council.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. A complaint was made to the Local Government Standards Panel in which it was alleged that I contravened Regulation 18 of the Local Government Regulation 2021 when I provided a local business owner with my councillor business card when contacting her regarding a private dispute. The panel found that I breached Regulation 18 and that my conduct was improper as it implied I was acting in my role as local councillor. I acknowledge that I should not have engaged in such conduct, and I now apologise to Dr. Trudy Stewart and her staff, as well as the public and my fellow councillors. Thank you.
Thank you. Reports of members. Councillor Leonetti.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. It's been a while since we've been here, but I'd like to just start off with, I don't really give credit much in here, but I'd like to give yourself credit, because the last 3 months I've been very proud of your efforts putting in, going towards the hydrotherapy pool, the diesel plant, the gas, our local gas and REX. And I know the community don't realise this, but they are items that we have no control over. And you've still got in and battered, and people have had a go at you for not standing up, and I think that's just not on. And I really appreciate your efforts and on other stuff, but mainly those 4. Moving on, I went to the hospice dinner down at the Grand. That was a good show. It cost me a fortune, but it was a good night. And I didn't drink, it would have probably cost me more. But no, it's really good, and it goes to a good cause. Because at the end of the day, I think everybody has someone that ends up through there, or friends that go through there or whatever. So I think we've really got to get behind that. And last of all, the other big one was I got invited by Alan Richardson out to Commodity Ag to see how they operate with the shipping and all that. Has had a bit of trouble, as we know, with the city, and he asked me to come out and have a listen and have a look. And geez, for Albany, it's going to be great. I mean, it gives the farmers another outlet to sell their grain. It gives us another source through the port. So hopefully when we've got to do it up, we can approach them for more money. So I really think these sort of things we've got to get behind. I know they do got to be compliant, like Councillor Sutton said when we were talking about it, but I think we've really got to work together and get behind these, because we don't want to end up back in SAT. We're already one now with over 200. We don't want another one. I think we really need to work together as a team and help the community and bring this into line so we can move forward and hopefully get that port done and more money going through Albany and more employment, which is great. That's all I've got for today. Thank you.
Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening to everybody. And certainly I'd like to add my congratulations from Councillor Leonetti to you, because, again, as a new councillor, seeing the amount of work that you've put in, and council officers as well, I think the community, it's important you know just how much work they are actually putting in behind the scenes there for the benefit of the community. Only two really significant, I suppose, achievements that we've had from the perspective of some of the subcommittees that I'm on. One is the reintroduction of the party program, which is a program run through WA Country Health for year 10 and above students that are going to be new drivers coming onto the road. And it's taking them up to the hospital and taking them through all the various traumas, I suppose, that you could be exposed to if you're involved in a motor vehicle crash, and the local emergency services through the DFIS, St John Ambulance, police, we're all directly involved in this. And this is a program that will run once a month right throughout the year, that is funded through WACS, but it's something that's come about through a collective of local people coming to the Roadwise committee meeting and actually achieving that. So that's been a good outcome. We've also had some good work through the LEMP, Local Emergency Management Committee. This year particularly, we're going to be doing a lot of work around aged care, and a number of our organisations in Albany are working together to put together some good emergency management planning around that, and also evacuation points for aged care, because of course they're some of our most vulnerable people in the community and the ones that we really need to look after, particularly at that time of life. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor, and welcome back. Lots of things have happened in the last 2 months since we've been here. A couple of highlights I just wanted to mention. First kicked off the year, or ended last year, with the New Year's Eve event, which was the first event for 2026. It was a fantastic event. We were somewhere between 10 and 15,000 people there reportedly, and a lot of fun was had. Kudos to the Breaksea team for coordinating or putting on the concert and all that happened, and also our events team. One thing that wasn't on our bingo card at the start of the year was the ATCO decommissioning of our LPG network. And as Councillor Leonetti and Councillor Clark have already alluded to, the Mayor has been doing a lot of work in speaking to both ATCO, to the Department of Energy and Decarbonisation, whatever it's called, and also with the relevant ministers as well. And just want to assure the community that we're doing all that we can to make sure we get the best deal possible and the best outcome for the community, and we will continue on doing that for the rest of the next however long it takes for them to do what they're going to do. One great event I've got along to, if you haven't been up to, the Avenue of Honour on Mount Clarence, a project led by Veterans Assist, RSL, funded by the City of Albany put some money in, the Community Bank put some money in, and a couple of other organisations. And the prisoners from the Pardalup Prison Farm contributed to putting a walk trail around the trees. So if you haven't seen that, make sure you get up there and have a look. Some events that we've had, it was great on the Australia Day long weekend, the WA Country Surf Lifesaving Championships, Councillor Stevens and the Surf Lifesaving Club, so that the Country Surf Lifesaving Championships and the Country Carnival was a great success. There was over 800 people on the beach on Saturday and Sunday. Great weather that we put on. It was a really great weekend. It was great seeing so many people, and Albany was very, very busy over that weekend, and that ended with the citizenship ceremony and the Citizen of the Year award. So I'd just like to do a shout out to the winner of those awards, Joe Lembo for the Community Citizen of the Year, Dorothy Field for the Senior Citizen of the Year, Peter Finlay for the Youth Citizen of the Year, and the All Abilities Ball, which is a great ball for Those people less able than us had a ball at Retrovision Stadium last September, October, which was a great success. Also, quick mention to the about the Binnalup Festival and the events team and all that they did there, which is another great success. What we've got coming up over the next month, lots to look forward to this long weekend, lots of events, and of course, at the end of next week we've got the first lights Kinjarling, and also the next 3 weekends we've got the huge Lighting the Sound. And I see Councillor Malcolm Trail, who's the chair of our 2026 committee, is here tonight, so maybe he's here to talk about that a little bit. Yeah, that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McLaren.
Thank you, Mayor Stocks. I just wanted to start by acknowledging that here we are on Menang land, and it was fantastic to attend the Pride opening, which had Elder Vernice Gillies speaking at the Macquarie statue, telling us lots of stories about our elders that go so long into history. It was a nice, intimate little opening and welcome by the Aboriginal people for the 10th Pride Festival, which we are in the middle of now. And I have to commend to you the exhibition at the Town Hall, which is so beautifully lit, from Luke Simpkin, who is one of our local chaps, but it is James B.L. Holland, who has exhibited around the world. I met him personally, and he exhibited at the Tate Modern, and I'm just a little bit starstruck. But it is a fantastic exhibition. It also has posters that go back through the last 10 years of Pride and gives you a flavor for how the festival has grown over the years. And also, the other thing that was a highlight for me in Pride so far was the Live at the Town Hall. It was such a great performance. Altar Boy was the main headline act, and their signer, who it's mainly for people who are deaf or who have hearing difficulties, and their signer himself was the best performer of the year last year. So it was really worthwhile, beautifully lit, beautifully sound. You know, the work that we put into this town hall for the sound and lights, second to none. Highly enjoyed it. And I want to shout out to Millie Reed, who is retiring from her role as the festival coordinator after so many fantastic festivals that since I've been in Albany. So that role they are seeking someone else to fill that role for the next festival. Pride Fair Day is coming up, as Deputy Mayor Terry mentioned, and Deputy Mayor Terry joined me at the launch of Pride, so it was nice to see you there, and also some of the staff came as well. Last night we had the results from the M4 Wave project. I think I might have been the only councillor in the room, but we heard all about how the waves off Torbay are the best in the world. And we've had a successful project here. They could not speak highly enough of the local industry that has enabled them to get that work done. And all the research that they've learned is going in the public domain, which is really something that we can be proud of from our local UWA organized team. I went to 2 of the council plan consultations. Again, I think I was the only councillor in the room. I think we need to look more carefully, except for one of them, Deputy Mayor Terry was there. But we do need to look at getting out to the community in a much more effective way so that they come and talk to us about the direction for the next 10 years. CAT Act is on the horizon in the state, and so I'm looking forward to seeing how that progresses and whether we will implement the local laws that will then be possible. So we're looking for that at the end of this year. And submissions are being invited now if you want to make a submission to the CAT Act review or the statutory review, which is the part that we already look after, the microchipping and the bit that is already legal to manage cats. But it'll be a good win for wildlife, as will the rat poisons, which are under review nationally. So those second generation rodenticides need to be better controlled, so you can make your submission on BirdLife. I know that our operational procedures are strict, but we can have tighter controls in the community on those rat poisons. And I'll finish with that. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor McKinley,
No, thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Bruff,
Thank you, Mayor. I have three matters to report. First, I'd like to foreshadow a notice of motion I'll be bringing to next month's ordinary meeting, a proposal that we open each council meeting with the national anthem. We do it at school assemblies, we do it at Speedway, I think we can do it here. Second, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the excellent work of our council liaison officer, Jennifer Williamson. Through her diligence, this council updated its civic affiliations policy to ensure our international relationships reflect shared values. And when the values of the Chinese Communist Party proved incompatible, we concluded our relationship, and I'm proud of that decision. Which brings me to an invitation. On Sunday, the 15th of March at 2 p.m. at the Town Hall, I encourage the community to attend a screening of the documentary State Organs. It exposes state-driven forced human organ harvesting in China, targeting prisoners of conscience and religious minorities, documented over decades by the eminent Canadian human rights lawyer, David Mattis. Now, Australian federal law prohibits organ trafficking, but prosecutions are rare, enforcement gaps persist, and awareness remains dangerously low. I note that this film has attracted suspected CCP-linked interference whenever it's screened. For instance, in Campbelltown, New South Wales, last November, organisers received bomb threats stating, and I quote, "A bomb has been placed in the church if the event is not cancelled." And globally, there have been over 60 of these kind of threats whenever this film has been played. Albany's screening it on the 15th. There'll be a Q&A panel after the screening. Tickets are $12. I'd love to see you there. And lastly, I want to briefly update Council on the Nullakai lime pit matter, which has significant ratepayer implications. Last year, Great Southern Lime applied to change their operating conditions. Council voted 8-3 to refuse the application. Council must own the consequences. The refusal has set in motion a State Administrative Tribunal appeal, now scheduled for hearing in March. The City has already spent over $216,000 in legal costs on this matter, and the position is highly uncertain. My unqualified estimate is that this single matter may exceed more than $500,000 in costs to the ratepayers. As of 13th of February, the administration advised Council that no cost estimate is currently available for the upcoming hearing. It would be a cause for serious concern if Council is proceeding to a major legal battle with no idea of the total cost to ratepayers. Council must be informed as soon as that estimate becomes available. And Council also needs to understand all alternatives that are or may become available, such that an off-ramp for this financial hemorrhage can be considered before it gets worse. I also note that on the 20th of February this year, City of Albany issued a prosecution notice to Great Southern Lime for an alleged offence said to have occurred on the 24th of February 2025. 361 days earlier. Now, the limitation period for the Criminal Procedure Act is 365 days. I'll let the public draw their own conclusions about the timing of this prosecution, given the SAT hearing is weeks away. The business community and our ratepayers are watching closely.
Councillor Sutton.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, I'd just like to comment, Councillor Lynn McLaren, why is it taking them so long for these cat laws? It's like they're giving up a kidney or something. I just can't understand it. Having a partner that's been a ranger for a good many years, I just do not understand it. Look, I'm just going to outline what I'll be pushing, or hopefully pushing in the next term of local government, if you like. We've got a housing industry that's going crazy, and I don't think there's any protection, or very limited protection, Mayor, for the consumer. So what I would like to do is to garnish the support from Council to ask the senior staff to look at reinstating building inspectors. If you want to build a house now, I don't know how many of you know the process, but you go through your DA, you get your building plans, get them certified by independent certifier, just up the road, David. Your builder submits that certified plan to the council, and that says the contract is that the builder will build that building to these standards. Everyone's happy, it's stamped, fees paid, they go away. Now, if there's a dispute between the builder and the owner, if you like, where do they go? They go to the builder, they say, if they get a bit narky, go to the building commission. And I've had personal experience with an ex-family member, a nightmare. They hand passed it to SAT tribunal, an absolute nightmare. And it's cost. We've got people investing in their lives in Albany, their biggest investment generally. Once they start, there's no help. You come to the council, they say, well, this is an agreement between you and the builder. Now, not many years ago, the building inspectors used to go, before a slab was poured, they go and have a look. Yep, it's the correct slab, mesh size, positioning of the mesh in the slab, which is crucial. Go. At least take photos. But we haven't got any control on, is it compliant? A work colleague has built a house recently, and it was pointed out that the bolts holding the frame to the concrete didn't have, I think, about 40 mil or 50 mil washers, which is mandated by the Construction Commission rules. When challenged, they said, well, we don't do that. So the integrity of the building, how does that stand? There's all sorts of these problems, which I think with building inspectors, it's not make the life hell of the builders, but it's making life easier for a consumer, because when you're spending all that money and that effort, and I can tell you, my family member almost tipped over the edge. No help. Go to the commission. She was fortunate. She persisted and actually got the builder deregistered through ATSEC. That way, she could actually access the indemnity insurance. Without that, she was done. So that's what I'm going to be working on. I don't think it's going to be an impost, but I think it needs serious attention. I don't know of any industry or profession where self-regulation has worked. To me, it's like giving the wolf the keys to the chook house. Won't steal a chook every day, but when he gets hungry, he'll come and get your chooks. So, thank you.
Councillor Stephen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, a busy month like everyone. It's great to hear all councillors make a contribution to kind of share all the different things that we are privileged as councillors potentially to attend, or that we can advocate for in certain areas that we have interest in. Last week, I was fortunate enough to go to Sydney to speak at a community engagement conference. It was great to be in a room with other local government staff, and also staff from New South Wales who are part of their government doing a lot of the resilience to the floods and fires over there. Something that was very strong that came through was community are much more wanting to be engaged, but I think there's a lot of misconceptions around when organisations like local and state government are engaging, and we've seen that with DSAL and even privately with ATCO around really giving the community, are we engaging or are we informing? And I think we have a responsibility as a local government to make sure that when we are going out to our community, that we are actually ensuring that we are giving the community opportunity if we are wanting feedback or if we are just informing. That takes time, but it also takes a budget. And sitting on the Community Engagement Committee, I can absolutely see the change that we've made as a council and as a community in engagement, but I think there's still best practice to come, and I think that does come with some budget and some staff and some training, both for councillors and for all areas of our businesses, from the depot right through to the visitor centre. So I look forward to continuing to share that. Anyone in the community that wants to join the committee, there is a position vacant at the moment, so I encourage you to have a look at that. Sunday was Proud Round at the footy. The GSFL Women's League's going amazingly. There's over 6 teams, both in youth and in women. So there's over 350 women playing footy now on a weekend, which kind of begs the question around facilities. Mount Barker have actually 4 change rooms at their facility, and the GSFL are programming footy to be all on one day, and it creates an awesome atmosphere for the spectators, for the whole, and also for the players to hang out after a game and watch the next game. But change rooms are jam-packed with the changing over of people and umpires and everyone else in between. So definitely get along if you haven't been down to see one of the women's footy leagues this week. It's at Railways. A few weeks ago, I was fortunate with Youth Great Southern to go and tour 5 youth centres in Perth. Really interesting to see what local governments are doing. We went everywhere from Rockingham to Midland and out to the new facility in Lansdale, which is their new library. And a massive amount of money has gone in from a local government point of view, and the outcome, I don't know if it's hit the mark for the community. So really good lessons learned around some of those youth centres that are run by a community, seem to have more autonomy with the support of local government. There's a lot of investment in youth services. A lot of them had up to 6 and 7 staff. And I think as we continue to grow out of an ageing community and hoping that we continue to attract our youth, I think we have a purpose to play as a council, and I look forward to sharing that along with Youth Great Southern and Albany Youth Support, who are doing some great work in the community. Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. That brings us to public question time. I think everybody that's on this list understands the rules, so I won't have to go through that. Obviously, traffic light system, 3.5 minutes. Amber light, 4 minutes. That's the conclusion of your address. Please give us your name and the item to which you're speaking. There are a number of people who wish to speak who are not addressing items. We should get through everybody, but preference is given to those dealing with items that we're dealing with for business on the council agenda. So, John Doust.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you again. John Doust, Spencer Park, cusp of Yakima. My respects to Manang Noongar elders, past, present and coming through. Councillors, Mayor, thank you. Tonight you will vote on whether to receive the motion I put to the recent electors meeting. I have nothing to add, other than the hope that you and your councillors, Mayor, will do more than receive. Rather accept, embrace the 2 parts of the motion and implement. What I will do, in the hope that you might deliberate with more care and consideration over this and similar matters, is read a poem. If any councillor struggles to discern its meaning, please, Mayor, would you explain it to them over dinner? Thank you. It is written by my lifelong friend, Shmulik Tsur, from Kibbutz Nirtzach, where we once worked together in the dairy. South Israel, on the border with Gaza, over the fence from Khan Yunis, and not far from Rafah. This man of peace, this man of courage, even though friends were murdered and kidnapped by Hamas operatives on October 7, 2023, never stopped supporting his friend Yusuf and others in Gaza, and his friend Faisal and others in the West Bank, and his Bedouin friends who live down the road. It is called A Note to a Young Man. An old man. Where does his wisdom come from? Is it because of his age? No. Because of his intelligence? No. From where does he acquire so much knowledge? From his grandfather's experience and all his travels in the sea of time, and his father. That's where his knowledge is from. Wisdom is wide and you are young. Go out and know the elders in the community, see their way, hear their stories, and say and act like them. Only, please, be more agile.
Samantha Stevens.
That's it. Samantha Stevens, 37 Rowney Road, Robinson. Good evening, Mayor and Councillors. I am co-convener of Albany Water Watch, a member of Albany Environment Centre, and I have sat at the table with the City for the last 5 years as part of the Robinson Precinct and Stibble Bridle Trail Working Group. First and foremost, congratulations on the draft water management strategy. It is a forward-thinking plan that shows the City is taking its role as a regional leader in climate resilience seriously. And congratulations on another major win for this Council. Just last week, the City confirmed that our collaborative work on the Stibble Bridle Trail has successfully stopped 95% of illegal vehicle access. In your own words, this is a fantastic result. This happened because we worked as partners and used State Operational Policy 13 as our guide. It proves that when the City's actions align with state standards, the results are immediate and positive. My goal tonight is to help the City make this success permanent. Right now, the gold standard that gave us that 95% result, Policy 13, is missing from the 10-year strategy. We aren't asking for a big change. We're simply asking for consistency. If Policy 13 was the right tool to protect the bridle trail in December 2023, it is the right tool to protect our entire catchment for the next 10 years. By including it, you aren't just ticking a box, you are creating a shield to protect our water and the City's own liability. Let's take this proven pilot success and make it a whole of City policy, ensuring the plan reflects the high standards you have already proven can be met. Albany Water Watch, our local catchment groups, the ACEC and our regional partners are ready to help you close this final gap. Let's make this a plan we can all be proud of. Thank you.
Mandy Arnold. Mandy, I'm going to ask you, look, we prefer you weren't using a prop when you're addressing us, if you don't mind. Thank you.
No, that's fine. So, my name is Mandy Arnold and I live at 28 Chester Pass Road, Yakamaya. I acknowledge that we live on unceded Noongar land. Mayor and councillors, I'm addressing you tonight on behalf of the Friends of Yakamaya Forest Budja. The highly biodiverse forest and bushland on lot 4743 is owned and managed by the City of Albany on behalf of me and others, the ratepayers and electors. At the recent annual electors meeting, electors passed a motion to designate lot 4743 as a heritage bushland to protect the area from future development. The motion further requested the City of Albany to allocate money in the 2026-2027 budget for the purchase of adjoining freehold land with the installation of barriers to protect the heritage bushland from unauthorised use by vehicles. Tonight, electors would like to invite councillors to speak to us about this motion. Thank you.
Malcolm Trail.
Thank you, Mayor and councillors, for the opportunity to speak tonight. Malcolm Trail from Lowlands. And I'm going to talk to you about two motions to do with museums, CCS 770 and 776. But thank you, Deputy Mayor, for the prompt. But I'll start by talking about 2026, if you don't mind, because we did have a steering committee meeting, and I thank councillors for your support in keeping me as chair of that 2026 steering committee. It's very close to my heart, and I think we're off to a fantastic start, as many of you have mentioned. And March is a month that we're really looking forward to in Albany for 2026 and all of the events. I had a phone call a few weeks ago from friends who live in regional New South Wales near Canberra. And said, we're coming to Albany. I said, oh, fabulous. What for? And they said, well, I saw this article in the Sydney Morning Herald about this light show. We thought we'd drive over and have a look. I said, well, fabulous. When are you coming? 2 weekends, looking at first lights Kinjarling and lighting the sound. And then I said, well, you're going on to Perth? I said, no, why would you want to do that? There's nothing in Perth. We're just coming to Albany. So that's the indication, and that's the message that we're getting through to people all around Australia. So things look great. So well done, Nathan, and all your team, and also all council. These two motions on the agenda tonight about the National Anzac Centre refresh from Phase 2, and also the Museum of the Great Southern Advisory Committee. I think I'm probably preaching to the converted because you did vote in favour of that unanimously in committee stages. But just to reinforce the fact that museums, to remain relevant, really have to refresh their displays, and we realise that. And it's been quite disappointing over the last couple of years that Council has applied for grants unsuccessfully to federal and state authorities for grants up to $330,000 for that refresh for two projects, the Tribute Wall and the Convoy Walk. And in one case, a reason was given. In another case, there was no reason given for the grant not being successful. And I think it was you, Mr Mayor, who reported that when you met Matt Anderson, who's the director of the Australian War Memorial in Canberra, he said that we have the second most significant military museum in the country. And he reinforced that when he visited us last year. And I've been involved with the National Anzac Centre since before it started. I was actually involved with editing the Tribute Wall tributes for a few years after it opened, and it's really important that this is refreshed as part of this. So thank you, and I hope you do support this transfer of money from the reserve fund. That's what it's for. But probably more importantly, it's important to note that we really do need the support. This is a nationally significant museum, so we do need support from federal and state governments, and we're not getting that at the moment. I note also in the Shadow Cabinet reshuffle last week that Darren Chester is back in the Shadow Ministry as Veterans Affairs. Now, Darren Chester came to Albany as the Minister for Veterans Affairs in, I think, 2019, and he was very enthusiastic. So I'd urge Council actually to perhaps get in Darren Chester's ear as the Shadow Minister and see whether we can get some more support from the federal government for this federally and nationally important museum. And also then CCS 776, the position on the Museum of the Great Southern Advisory Committee. It's not an onerous position, and I'd really urge anyone qualified from around the table, and you're all qualified because you're all members of the community, just to put your hand up for the museum. It's a really important part that they play in our community in the city of Albany as a museum, and this year in particular. So I hope you'll support both of those motions tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
Juliette Bateman.
Good evening, Mayor and Councillors. Juliette Bateman, Marble Up Road North in Marble Up. I'm speaking tonight as Chair of the Torbay Catchment Group. The City of Albany has the opportunity to influence the Wolga State water advocacy position before submissions close on the 12th of March. What Albany says now matters because Wolga's final position will shape state policy and funding priorities for many years to come. Albany's water security does not begin at a treatment plant, it begins in our catchments. Unlike Perth, which relies heavily on desalination, regional Western Australia currently depends predominantly on rainfall-fed dams and groundwater. The quality and reliability of our drinking water is therefore directly linked to the health of the land that feeds those systems. If the catchments are degraded, water quality declines and treatment costs increase. Protecting water at its source is often the most practical and cost-effective strategy that we have. The city's draft water strategy is strongly operational, improving irrigation efficiency, stormwater design, reducing scheme water use. These are all important improvements. However, the strategy does not clearly address the protection of natural systems that supply our drinking water. Similarly, the Wolga discussion paper focuses heavily on infrastructure and alternative water sources, but it gives less emphasis to source protection. However, we see this as an opportunity for the city to provide some leadership. We are not asking the city to take on state responsibilities. We are asking that Albany's submission clearly acknowledges 5 practical priorities. First, protecting drinking water source areas, ensuring land use in sensitive catchments minimises nutrient runoff, sediment movement and contamination risk. Second, recognising that reducing pollution upstream is far more effective and less costly than treating it downstream. Third, acknowledging the legacy of our historic drainage systems. These old systems were designed to move water quickly off the land and into waterways, but too quickly, in fact, taking soil and sediment as well. In some areas, modest restoration work, such as revegetating creek lines and roadside reserves, can slow runoff and improve water quality before soil and sediment become infrastructure problems. Fourth, factoring in long-term rainfall decline. As less water enters our dams and our aquifers, protecting the quality of what remains becomes even more important. And fifth, recognising that partnerships with community catchment groups such as Torbay Catchment, Oyster Harbour and Wilson Inlet are part of our water security solution. These groups work hard to protect our catchments, but sustained impact depends on policy alignment, funding and support. In conclusion, water security in Albany is fundamentally linked to catchment health, the landscapes that feed our dams and our aquifers. And this submission to WOLGA is an opportunity to acknowledge that connection clearly and constructively. If we fail to articulate catchment protection as part of our broader security water framework, then future funding policy may prioritise pipes and treatment rather than prevention and landscape management. I respectfully encourage Council to ensure that Albany's submission reflects that broader perspective and it contributes to WOLGA's final position. Thank you for your time and for your leadership in this matter.
Tony Harrison.
Tony Harrison, Little Grove, Mayor, Council. I'm serious tonight, no jokes. The most important thing I've got is this petition. I'm not giving it to you guys because I'll be giving it to Scott Leary tomorrow morning. I've got just over 800 signatures of people who are against Nannerup being used for a desalination unit. Now, I've given Water Corp and I still haven't got permission to address council and tell them of 2 options which would be far beneficial to Albany and our water future for the next couple of generations anyway. So these people, it's against desalination and pumping the brine out into Nannerup or Sandpatch. It's just a no-brainer. It can be done, and Water Corp, I know, have given a lot of excuses as to why they can't recycle the brine or even grey water, but it can be done. And one of the options is to recycle our grey water, and I've given them a location. I don't know if I've told any of you councillors, but behind the fertiliser factory, they've got 100 acres there. Wesfarmers quite willing to sell it, lease it, whatever, and it'll have no environmental damage whatsoever. And we know Nannerup will, and because most of you know I've done whale watching and I know how the ocean works, and I know it's going to be detrimental to the whale migration and also the whale breeding grounds for the southern rights, which are part of our tourism and industry. And if we let Water Corp bugger that up, well then so much for our hospitality and our tourism and our wilderness and the rights for people to have a swim at a local beach without having to hear a desalination unit churning behind you up in the hills. And I was just praying that you guys will see the logic, because Water Corp has got no logic. They're only using Nannerup because it's the cheapest and the easiest option. They're the only 2 reasons. And you ask them why, and they'll probably rattle off a whole lot of innuendos as to why it should be there. But they've had trouble at Coburn Sound and other places, and other countries are recycling their brine without any drama. For us, we could be doing it. We're talking, I was here on Friday with a meeting with council about work for the next 10 years, and a lot of the people there said, oh, we've got to have jobs for our kids. Well, Water Corp don't have to recycle the brine. They could sub that out to an industry that does that, and then you're employing younger generation kids. You've got an industry there that you could establish, and it would benefit Albany, and it wouldn't destroy the environment in one little bit. And so, yeah, I'm just, I don't know, passionate about trying to save our ocean and our tourism and our livelihood. It's no good saying in 10 years' time, oh, we did have a whale watching industry, or, you know, we did have this or we did have that, just because Water Corp wanted to pump the brine out in the ocean. So anyway, that's all I've got to say. Thank you. Thanks.
Michelle Kinsella.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Michelle Kinsella from Albany. I have 3 questions for the record, and I'm happy to take answers on notice. Question 1. Does the City of Albany have a policy of inclusivity in regards to hiring the venues under the management of the City of Albany? Question 2. Does the City have a policy, written or spoken, that discriminates against certain political parties? The reason I ask these questions is in regard to a recent experience which was vastly different than the previous experiences when booking the function centre at the Retrovision Stadium. On the 3rd of February at 3:39 p.m, I called Retrovision Stadium to inquire about a last-minute hiring of the function centre for the 8th of February at 5 p.m. I spoke to the acting manager and informed her it was a private event and we would have a special guest, the Honourable Phil Scott, MLC from One Nation, attending. The venue was available. At 4:17 p.m, I received this text message. I have a copy here that I would like to table for the record.
Sure. You're well aware that that doesn't form part of the minutes, but we're happy to accept it.
Who's going to accept it? Thanks. Thanks. I'll read out the text message. Hi, Michelle. Unfortunately, there is a City of Albany booking on Sunday. We can't see their booking calendar, so obviously 2 calendars must be not in alignment. We can't offer the venue for your functions. Apologies for that. Regards, and I've redacted the name, on behalf of Retrovision Stadium. I have another document I'd like to table for the record. This is a photo, time-stamped 7:34 p.m, 8th of February. You can see the stadium car park is empty, and it appears the stadium is not in use. My third and final question for the record, happy to take answer on notice, is, did the City of Albany have an event booked for the 8th of February after 5 p.m. using the Retrovision Stadium Function Centre? And if so, what was the event? And can you please provide evidence that the event took place? Thank you.
Ms Kinsella, we'll take those on notice because I obviously can't answer all of those things, but Retrovision Stadium is a separate incorporated body which subleases, that building is owned by the City of Albany, but sublet to Centennial Stadium Incorporated. They will have obligations.
Can you just explain then why
look, I
the
can't
person
explain.
who made the booking then contacted the City of Albany to get the statement that the City of Albany had an event on that night?
We're going to take that on notice.
All three questions,
We would have
please.
an expectation that you had every right to book that stadium, and
Me too.
We'll have a look at that.
But it would appear perhaps not. Was it the fact it was a One Nation
I have
Member
no
of
idea.
Parliament coming? Was
So
it the fact
let
it was
us- let us-
myself booking the venue?
Let us clarify, and we'll answer the question for you.
And
we
if-
will have a look at. And we'll have a
If
look.
somebody has overstepped their boundaries and practiced discriminatory, like here, I would also like an apology. Thank you very much.
Right, thank you. That concludes public question time. Thank you. Mr. CEO, are there applications for leave of absence?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. No applications have been received. We'll just confirm with all elected members. Is anyone wishing to make application? No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
There are no petitions and deputations. We need to confirm the minutes. The motion is that the minutes of the ordinary council meeting held way back on Tuesday the 17th of December 2025, as previously distributed, be confirmed as a true and accurate record of proceedings. Someone to move, please. Thank you. Councillor Clark, Councillor Leonetti, Councillor Clark.
No, thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Leonetti. Anyone speaking against? No, we'll put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 9-0.
Presentations, there are nil. Unresolved business from previous meetings, there are nil. And I presume I'm going to ask the council if we can bring forward AEM 001, because most people in the gallery are probably here to listen to that. Any objection to bringing that forward? No? Okay. Let's, if we can go to AEM 001, motion from annual electors meeting, held on the 5th of February 2026. The recommendation.
Mayor, I have an amendment.
I have to, well, I understand you have an amendment, but the motion, the actual officer's recommendation needs to be moved first, and I'll give you an opportunity to do that. The recommendation is that the motion carried at the annual electors meeting held on the 5th of February 2026, as detailed in paragraph 2 of this report, be received. Someone to move? Deputy Mayor Terry, seconder. Councillor Bruff. Deputy Mayor Terry.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yeah, I'd like to thank the electors that turned up to the meeting. It's important to have those meetings and give them the opportunity to put motions to us for us to then to look at and consider. What this motion tonight is all about is just to receive it. Want to make that really clear. It's not binding us to any action. And the reason I want to make that point, because the request to make 4743 into heritage bushland is really putting the cart before the horse in relation to the North or the Albany North District structure plan. We need to wait until we have that report before we consider to do anything in relation to what we're going to do up on lot 4743. So committing to doing something before that has been presented to us by DPLH is putting the cart before the horse. Now, I've heard all this over the last couple of years, 2 or 3 years, about putting it as a bicentenary park. I don't really have an issue about putting some, not all, of lot 4743 to environmental conservation, not a heritage bushland, but environmental conservation. Parts of it can't be, because parts of lot 4743, this building is on lot 4743. There's also the issue of Range Road. Why I say we can't make any decision in relation to that is because we need to get the Albany North District Structure Plan and see what it says about the need for Range Road. And as far as I'm concerned, putting all of that 4743 to environment conservation is probably not feasible. because for me, I think Range Road is going to be a given. So, but on the current planned alignment, there has been talk about moving it further down the hill. So until we get that report, I don't think we should consider moving on the motion in doing anything up until after that has been presented to us and accepted. And in relation to buying the adjoining lot, I presume John is referring to lot 420. The landowner has got plans for that lot. They're still trying to go through the process of getting the clearing permit. If he's not able to get the clearing permit, then that's an opportunity for us to possibly buy 420 and put that into environment conservation as well. And if that opportunity came up, then I think we should look at it. But I don't think we should. I just want to make the point that we are just receiving the motion and we're not acting on it and not bound to act on it until we have considered the Albany North District Structure Plan. Thank you.
Councillor Bruff. Councillor McLaren, you have an amendment.
Thank you, Mayor. My amendment, if I may read it and then speak to it, is that?
No, you move it and then see if you get a seconder.
Oh,
so you read it.
I will move it. I have an amendment. Sorry, the advice that I had is contrary to.
You need to read it.
Yep.
And then you need a seconder.
Okay. That the authorizing officer recommendation be amended to read, 1, that the motion carried at the annual electors meeting held on the 5th of February 2026, as detailed in paragraph 2 of this report, be received. 2, that the chief executive officer prepare a report detailing the implications of the motion and any legal or statutory obligations in implementing the designation of Lot 4743 North Road, Yuckamaya, as heritage bushland to protect the area from future development, and whether an alignment of Range Road through Lot 4743 is possible if the remainder of Lot 4743 is designated a heritage bushland, and the installation of barriers to protect the heritage bushland from unauthorized use by vehicles.
Seconder for that amendment?
Can I just ask a point of clarification?
Yes.
Just in regard to part of that motion, the installation of barriers to protect the heritage bushland, are you implying that that is part of the report or something that you want installed?
Is that a point of clarification?
Yes, you can answer that.
Yes, Councillor, that the report would include that suggestion. My reasoning being the installation of barriers. Deputy Mayor Terry just said he thinks they might be barriers near 420. It's what we don't know anything about it, and we need a report to identify where vehicle movement might need to be prohibited. That is the clarification. No, that's the clarification.
No, it wasn't the question. Okay. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Stephen. Councillor McLaren.
Thank you, Mayor. There is considerable concern about the loss of biodiversity globally, in Australia, and across the city of Albany. The clearing proposed for urban development in the area behind the city offices, known as Yuckamaya Forest Budja, has ignited a campaign that has sought to protect the forest and has attracted support from a record number of Albany citizens, from the mums and dads who signed petitions numbering more than 2,000 signatures, to eminent academics, Menang elders, botanists, and environmental leaders. The pleas from these campaigners have even reached the heart of the kingdom, King Charles. And that's what we heard from the mover last at the electors meeting. Albany electors spoke up last year by raising many questions, and this year by passing this motion in their annual electors meeting. Their voices should be heard. We councillors need to know whether it is possible to designate some or all of Yucca Forest as heritage bushland, or as Deputy Mayor Terry pointed out, perhaps it should be conservation reserve. We simply do not have enough information about the legal requirements and statutory obligations of the city to protect the forest while fulfilling our duty to deliver orderly planning for Albany. We all know that some time ago the city decided to plot a road route through Lot 4743. However, we know that plans evolve over time. Residential development in Warrenup has placed harmful pressure on and displaced kangaroos who once thrived there. There was once an industrial hub on the shores of Princess Royal Harbor. That's going to become a residential development. New laws have established foreshore setbacks where housing was once highly sought after. The council is required to keep up to date with changes in the laws and guide how our city grows, informed by the values and aspirations of our ratepayers. Instead of simply receiving the motion, I suggest we respond to the electors by seeking further information about the implications of their honest request. I suggest that requesting a report detailing the implications of the motion and any legal or statutory obligations in implementing it is the least that we can do. The motion asks us to designate Lot 4743 a heritage bushland. If the road reserve is retained or some alternative route traversing the forest is identified, can the balance of Lot 4743 be designated heritage bushland to protect it from further development? What are the implications of installing bollards or similar to prevent vehicle access? The motion suggests the city purchase land abutting the forest for this purpose. Is this required to protect the bushland and biodiversity and heritage values? I don't think we have enough information to allocate funds in the budget for this purpose. The officer's recommendation needs amendment. We need a report in order to make an informed decision.
Councillor Stevens.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am happy to second this motion. I think we often stand here and talk about things that aren't in the city's control, and I think this is something that is in our control. And as we see in the gallery, month in, month out, and in our community, people want action from the council and questions answered around Yucca Forest and Lot 4743. We have that in our control, and so I do support Councillor McLaren's motion here, because what I would like to know, because I'm not sure if everyone else sitting around this table understands what heritage bushland means, whether it's conservation land, whether it's recreational space, what does that actually look like? What are the implications of that land? What can we do? What is in our control before we even get to potential road alignments, to potential purchasing of land next door? So I think this is a report that will give us a clear indication as to what is in our jurisdiction as a council, given it is our land, so we can walk alongside the community and protect potentially this fantastic bushland. And I hope that you've all actually walked through it for the generations to come, whether it's part of the lot or whether it's the whole lot. We don't know that. But at the moment, I can't stand here as a councillor and confidently know what we can and can't do as the City of Albany, and what the implications are as to how we change that land if we do want to go down that path. So I think it's in the best interests of the community and the best interests of the council to move ahead with a report, so we can, once we do get the North Albany structure plan, we can look at them side by side and make an informed decision on behalf of our community.
Anyone wish to speak against? Councillor McKinley.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. This was thrown in us at last minute. So the way I read it at the moment, there's a lot of, it's going to open up a can of worms. As Deputy Mayor Terry mentioned, there's a long road to go before we cross this bridge. And at this stage, I believe it's going to waste a lot of city time with staff allocation, and also the installation of barriers protect. That's again that needs a budget. it's not going to be. It might not be effective. It's just for viewing only. I just think we need to have a good think about before we approve this motion, and I would recommend that we vote against it because it's early. Why do we need to move this now? We don't really need to, and we'll wait and see what happens down the line. Thank you.
Anyone wish to speak for the motion, the amended motion? Any further debate? Councillor Sutton.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, I'd like to speak against the motion. Not that I don't disagree with everything there, but Councillor Stevens made the point that we don't know what's going on. And until a very, very comprehensive document and a very expensive document, a lot of time's gone into it, the Albany North Structure Plan is finalised. Once that's done, then we know what we're dealing with. I don't think there'll be any council here that would just want to put road through and wreck the environment totally. But we've got to work with the structure plan being done. And I think going through this, we're jumping areas where we don't need to jump yet. If we hold off, it's not going to be long. It's been a long time now. So let's wait a little bit longer and get the best result for the community. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to contribute to debate? Councillor McLaren, you have right of reply.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, councillors, for participating, the two of you that did stand and tell us how you feel. I do think this was a motion coming from an electors meeting, and we were all electors in that meeting. It's not a matter of us and them. It is our city and the direction of our city that our citizens were talking to us about. So I do think we at least have to receive it. And Councillor McKinley seemed to indicate in his remarks that we should vote against receiving it. And I don't think he meant that. I think we have to at least receive it. It is, in fact, under the Local Government Act that we have to consider it. If it comes from an electors meeting, we have to consider it, and that's why we're doing it. But what we didn't have in this report from the officers is any qualitative information about the content of this motion. And how can we realistically make a decision on that? You know, we can't. And one thing that the Deputy Mayor mentioned to me earlier is that, you know, we could consider this later. We could consider this motion later. Well, in that regard, we would have to make it ourselves. We would have to put it on the agenda. What I'm saying is there is no power higher than our ratepayers. Our ratepayers are the people we're here for. And they've said, we want you to do this. And it would only come to us if there was a majority vote for it. So here it is, it's before us, and we have to make a decision, and we haven't got enough information from the officers, and we didn't have a committee, we didn't have a DIS committee where we could find out more information about these zoning options. So we didn't have an opportunity before now to look at it. So what I'm saying is, I don't have enough information to say no. I want to know more about, you know, the conservation possibilities of that land. And, you know, 2,000 citizens, no, there is no other petition of that scale, you know, in our memory. I think, I don't know if it's in your memory, but this is a big issue. And there's nothing to be lost from getting more information. It doesn't delay anything, just gives us more information about what this looks like if we do decide to protect some or all of this beautiful high-value conservation forest. So I agree with Councillor Stevens. What we need is confidence to go forward. And our officers are well placed to provide us with further information so we can make a decent decision about whether or not to pursue this. The district structure plan is not going to look at making this a heritage park. You know, they are looking at other issues. And even if we do get a report from planning which says, you know, we want to look at, or the city should look at making this a conservation reserve, then we're ahead of the game. We already know how to do it. We already know what's required through our legal obligations. Deputy Mayor Terry also mentioned, you know, that there's adjoining land that's owned by a private landowner. we need to know our obligations in relation to that landowner. We can't just throw around ideas like, oh, maybe we could buy that land. That we really do need to look at our liability because that land is owned by a private owner. How can we make those decisions unless we get that officer's report before us? So really, councillors and Mayor, I'm just wanting you to allow the process to be genuine and for us to be fully informed before we vote on this. And all I'm saying is we just want a report before we vote on it. So I encourage you to vote yes on my amendment, and then we can proceed. And I hope the community sees that we have good faith, that we are listening to them and going forward in good faith.
That closes debate. All those in favour of the amendment? Against?
Lost 7-2. 2-7.
Okay, we go back to the substantive.
Sorry. For the motion, Councillor McLaren and Councillor Stevens.
Thank you. It takes us back to the substantive motion. We've had the mover and seconder speak. Does anyone want to speak against? I think we've heard most of the arguments anyhow, so if there's no speaker against, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Against?
Carried 7-2. Against Councillor McKinley and Councillor Leonetti.
That takes us to CCS 767, Monthly Financial Report. The recommendation, we're now going to go through some pretty dry financial arrangements, so you're welcome to leave. CCS 767, that the monthly financial report for the period ending 31st of December 2025 be received. Someone to move. Deputy Mayor Terry, Councillor McKinley, Deputy Mayor Terry, Councillor McKinley. Anyone speaking against? If not, put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 9-0.
CCS 768, list of accounts for payment. The recommendation is that the list of accounts authorised for payment under delegated authority to the Chief Executive Office for the period ending 31st of December 2025, totalling $11,577,403.23 be received. Someone to move. Councillor Sutton, Councillor Clark. Councillor Sutton. Councillor Clark. Anyone speaking against? Councillor Leonetti.
Actually, Chair, thank you. It's not really against. I had a phone call from two businesses today in town. On page 53, we really just want clarification. Scavenger supplies, PPE and helmets. Was this actually protective clothing? And if it was, how come we've gone to, I think they're in Mandurah or somewhere? That's all they want to know, and we haven't done it locally. Thank you.
We'll take that on notice and come back to you, Councillor Leonetti. Anyone else wish to speak for or against? No? I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Against?
Carried 8-1. Against Councillor Leonetti.
CCS 769, delegated authority reports. That the delegated authority reports for the 16th of November 2025 to the 15th of January 2026 be received. Someone to move. Councillor Brough, seconder. Councillor Clark. Councillor Brough. Councillor Clark. Anyone speaking against? No? I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 9-0.
CCS 770. The recommendation is that the council approve the following budget amendments. 1, to increase the budget for the National Anzac Centre Refresh Capital, W0754.1755C, from $176,383 to $334,784, and 2, to transfer $158,401 from the National Anzac Centre Reserve, which is WO 17459.2703. Someone to move, please. Councillor Clark, Councillor Sutton, Councillor Clark.
No, thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Sutton.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, this is so important. We heard earlier that this is the second most important war memorial in Australia. Well, I believe it's actually in the Southern Hemisphere. So it's massive, and it's a real shame that we don't get any support, federal or state, and no meaningful support. If we've got, this is our jewel in our crown, a lot of people come here for this. If we can't refresh and finish the refresh, it's going to be pretty ordinary if you can't do your journey and it gets glitches at the end. So fully endorse this, and that's what the reserve's for. Thank you.
Anyone wishing to speak against? No, we'll put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 9-0.
CCS 771. The recommendation is that Council approve the lease over Lot 3 and licences over Lots 2 and 14 Shanes Beach Road, Shane Beach, to Beach Fishing Proprietary Limited, trading as Westerberg Brothers, on portion of Reserve 878 for a term of 5 plus 5 years, as detailed in section 24 of this report. A mover, Councillor Brough, a seconder, Deputy Mayor Terry. Councillor Brough. Deputy Mayor Terry. Anyone speaking against? No? We'll put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 9-0.
We've had some discussion at committee, obviously, on CCS 772. We have a potential procedural motion coming from Councillor McKinlay. The CEO wants to comment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The administration would be happy to withdraw this item in light of the comments that came out of committee, and particularly in relation to paragraph 30 of this report that makes reference to the federal government funding stream that is available of $5 million to provide regional and remote airports that were unsecured creditors of REX with the opportunity to have that money reimbursed. So I think in terms of good governance and allowing that process to proceed, we would be very happy to either withdraw this report administratively, but I understand that Councillor McKinlay has potentially a procedural motion that he would also like to achieve the same outcome. So either way, Mr. Mayor, happy to take direction from the council. I'd have to, if you wanted to, I'd be happy to withdraw it from the administration. I think that was quite clear. We didn't quite get to do that before the agenda was issued, but I think to have it on the record probably would be equally as correct for.
All right, so from a protocol point of view, given that Councillor McKinlay had signalled an intention for a procedural motion, do you have a preference either way? No.
No preference. Either way.
I think we'll get you to move it. Procedural motion. There is no debate except for you to read the motion, and you've got a minute to explain your reasons if you wish.
Okay, so that consideration of the report CCS 772, sundry debtor write-off, be deferred until such a time that the federal government support program application, as detailed in point 30 of this report, has been finalised in the expectation to offset the debt amount of 456,065.97.
Thanks. I need a seconder for that. Councillor Sutton. Go ahead. Do you want to speak to it?
I think we discussed this at CCS, and it leaves the city vulnerable. So I think if we do a procedural motion to defer it, it just leaves us in a better place as a city. So
thank you. There is no debate. All those in favour?
Carried 9-0.
Thank you. Just turn up for the books. Just a private joke. CCS 773, the recommendation is that the corporate scorecard report Quarter 2 2025-26 be noted. Someone to move. Thank you, Councillor McLaren. Seconder? Councillor Clark. Councillor McLaren.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to point out one thing in this corporate scorecard report from the second quarter, and that's on page 76 of our attachments. And I mentioned this at the electors meeting as well, and it is the fact that we do not have money set aside in the long-term financial plan for the development or redevelopment of the Albany Leisure and Aquatic Centre upgrades. It is something we need to address as a priority, and it is a deferred action, and we know it's a deferred action, but we're reporting it here. The CEO has reported it here in his report that we need to put in the budget a business case. We need to start by developing that business case so we know how much we're putting in the long-term financial plan. So I want to draw your attention to the progress of that. There is no progress because it's a deferred action, and we have a budget review like this month, and it's still not an action. So we need to show leadership and find the way to make this happen sooner rather than later. And the other action, of course, which is deferred, is the urban forest strategy, which is, extremely disappointing to me. But I commend the report to you.
Councillor Clark. Anyone wish to speak against? No? Put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 9-0.
CCS 774, tenders awarded. The recommendation is that the tenders awarded report October to December 2025 be received. Someone to move that. Councillor Sutton, Councillor Stephen. Councillor Sutton. Councillor Stephen. Anyone speaking against? To put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 9-0.
CCS 775, adoption of the budget review. The recommendation is that the budget review for the period ending 31st of December 2025 be adopted. Someone to move? Deputy Mayor Terry. Councillor McKinley. Deputy Mayor Terry.
Yeah, just briefly, I just wanted to highlight a few things. We've met Councillor McLaren talked about the Pride Live at the Town Hall event. It's great to see that $150,000 worth of funding is coming from, I don't know, whatever state department to fund that. I think it's 5 events at the Town Hall. Great to see some money coming back from the state government re the floods of last year with the Dr. Farwar disaster relief funding. A bit more money allocated to leachate management at the at Hanrahan Road, and a number of other things. A couple of things have been taken out, but they're not taken out, they're just being deferred to next year. So just making that clear to the community that we are pushing ahead with the airport. It just won't be done all the big capital expenditure this financial year, it'll be done next. And also the McAlpine Rise development, just pushing back that 1 year. So it's not going out, it's just being deferred. Thank you.
No. Anyone wish to speak against? No? Okay, we'll put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 9-0.
CTS 776, request for a nomination and endorsement of appointment of a councillor to the Museum of the Great Southern Advisory Committee. The recommendation is that nominations be called for an ex officio member for the Museum of the Great Southern Advisory Committee, and to the successful nominee be appointed as an ex officio member of the Museum of the Great Southern Advisory Committee. We do have in committee the reason we brought that to, I'm calling for nominations. So Councillor Clark has made a nomination. Are there any other nominations? No? Okay. How do we deal with that?
Just have a resolution that Councillor Clark be the successful nominee,
Right.
unless there's no need to go to election unless there's another.
Is there anyone else that wants to nominate? No? All right, so let's insert Councillor Clark there. And congratulations, and you better move this motion. And then we'll look for a seconder. Are you happy to move the motion?
I'll move the motion that I'll be nominated.
Seconder, please. Okay, Councillor Sutton.
Thank you.
Councillor Clark.
I'm actually quite happy to take on this position. I think that the history we have down here is rich, and I think that we can contribute a lot to the whole state and, in fact, the rest of Australia with what we have here. And for the people that we have with your museum here, it'll be an absolute pleasure and a great opportunity to be part of it. So thank you.
Councillor Sutton. Anyone speaking against? It's a bit like an AGM, not many people speaking against these. All those in favour?
Carried 9-0.
Thanks very much, Councillor Clark. We've dealt with AEM 001, DIS 464 planning and building reports. The officer recommendation is that the planning and building reports for December 2025 and January 2026 be received. Someone to move, please. Councillor Sutton, Councillor Brough, Councillor Sutton, Councillor Brough. Anyone speaking against? No. I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 9-0.
There is no new business of an urgent nature introduced by a decision of council. There are no motions of which previous notice has been given. There are no reports of city officers, so the meeting is now closed to the public at 7:20.